Welcome, everybody, to the Friar Talk podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about spring training and basically the stuff that we're looking forward to, because right now there's a lot of stuff to look forward to, not only for this 26-man roster heading into 2021, but also a lot of the young guys that it's their first time playing against big leaguers. And most of them don't have a lot of experience outside of Class A. So they're getting like a big jump, and it's probably there's gonna be a big learning curve, but still it's fun to look at these guys, fun to watch their tools, see what makes them special. So Chase, let's start off with you, man. Who's a guy that you're looking forward to watching this spring training?
Looking forward to Tucapita Marcano. Man, that name is fun to say. He's kind of blocked right now because he's supposed to be a middle infielder, but the Padres are kind of experimenting with him in the outfield. And if that happens, he's not going to be blocked. And he's sort of just been tearing the cover off the ball. So looking forward to see what he does and see how he forces the Padres' hand.
Yeah, and we're recording this on Tuesday night. Currently, he's 3 of 4. So he's doing pretty good. His numbers in 2019 weren't too promising. But Chase, you were talking about like a camp that like the Padres camp at USD. Do you want to kind of explain like why that makes a lot of these guys' numbers in 2019 not like irrelevant, but just not as important on like looking and evaluating them?
Yeah, 2020 they had the 60-man player pool, and all the players that were in that playing pool that weren't on the roster got sent to like an instructional camp, and ours was at UA, and they were working with like all the hitting coaches, pitching coaches, and just doing a bunch of inner squads and working on their mechanics and ways they saw the ball. So that's why Gore is now doing a lot better than he was last year. Is they kind of fixed up his mechanics at the camp, and that's why I'm kind of looking forward to see what Marcano does, because he was there with a few other guys like Hassell. We saw what Hassell did today, the double off the wall, which I thought probably could have been a home run, but it's good to see, and we'll see what else those guys can do.
Yeah, Isaac, what about you, man? Who's one of these guys that you're looking forward to?
So I definitely have I have two guys that I'm looking forward to, but I'm only going to talk about one. The two of them being Haseon Kim and the other being CJ Abrams. But I'm going to talk about Haseon Kim because we know he's going to be on our roster, and we know that he's probably going to be the starting second baseman. And the reason I say Haseon Kim is because I just want to see if he's better than Cronenworth, because we brought him in to be our starting second baseman, and we saw Jay Cronenworth had a pretty good year. He had really solid numbers. It seemed like he was getting on all the time, and he was a really solid presence in our lineup. And when we got Haseon Kim, to me it was like, oh well, he's just going to be Jay Cronenworth's backup. But it seems like he's actually going to be our starting second baseman. So what that tells me is that this guy's a really talented dude. So I just kind of want to see what he brings to our team. I want to see what kind of hitter he is, because there's been a lot of hype behind his hitting. I want to see what kind of player he is. I want to see what he brings to us, and most importantly, I just want to see if he is actually better than Cronenworth. And the good thing is with Kim is that if he doesn't really pan out, then we have Jake Cronenworth waiting behind him. And if Jake isn't really the player that he was this past year, then CJ Abrams is waiting behind him. But I definitely think Haseon Kim's going to be a really good player.
Yeah, no, I know he hit a bomb like deep into the outfield. It didn't go out of the park, but he had a deep fly ball. He also played shortstop today, which is very interesting. I like that they're kind of bouncing him around, getting him a feel for a bunch of positions. It seems like a lot of it seems like the Padres organization is very open to letting guys do that. And then going back to Haseon Kim, or sorry, to CJ Abrams. I mean, he's got to be maybe the most exciting guy here outside of Mackenzie Gore in terms of the prospects, of course. He 80 grade run speed. I mean, I think he's a superstar caliber player, and I think a lot of people in the Padres organization speak so highly of him. He was the 8th overall pick. No, he was the 6th overall pick, and he's the 8th overall pick, or the 8th overall prospect now. Um, really good tools, 60 grade hit tool, 80 grade run. I think he's 60 fielding as well. Like just really good all across the board. And he's what, 20 years old, 19 years old. Like he's going to get a lot better. And it's just good to let him have this experience right now. So I'm super excited for him. Another guy kind of in the same boat is Robert Hassell, who you said the double off the wall. I think that's out at Petco Park because that back wall is what, like 415, and in the spring training stadium?
It looked deep.
It looked really deep.
And dude, that batter's eye is just massive too. So you can never tell if it's going over or if it just hits the top of the wall.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I'm super excited for both of those guys. They're also like there's other young guys that are exciting. I think that these guys, I'm not gonna try to attempt his name, Chase. You did a much better job. But to no wait, to Capita. To Cupita.
Yeah.
And then Abrams and Gore those guys have to be the most exciting young guys. Oh, and also Robert Hassell. Another guy though, Anderson Espinoza, kind of been off everyone's radar. He pitched, what was it, last Tuesday? He pitched to live batters for the first time in like two years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean that's someone that I'm really excited to watch. I don't know when we're going to see him, and I don't know if he's really going to get that much action. They're probably going to. I feel like they're going to move him back pretty slowly, and just to be safe. I mean, he's had so much injury history, but right now I think he's 13th on the Padres prospect list, and I feel like he fell out. He was off the list last year, or at least a while back. So, I mean, if he becomes a legit arm, that is big time because I mean, he's a guy that just kind of got forgotten about, but he was compared to, was it Pedro Martinez, like guys that like to comp him to?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. So that's an exciting one. And Mackenzie Gore, I mean, we didn't really talk about him that much, but he's going to be fighting for what I think will be a 6-man rotation. He's going to be fighting for that 6th spot. Isaac, I'll go to you, man. Do you think that he's going to win it? Or do you think that either Weathers or Morahone are the favorites for that 6th spot?
I think it's going to be Gore. Gore has so much potential. Like I've been saying this. I've been saying even through all the additions. You know, we got Blake Snell, we got Yu Darvish, we got Lamet on our roster right now. We just got Musgrove. It's kind of crazy, but I still think Mackenzie Gore is going to end up being our ace, whether it's in a year or two. You know, I still think he's going to be our ace. I think he's going to be that good. But I definitely think he deserves to be in that 6-man rotation just because I don't want to really hold him back anymore. You know, it feels like we've had him in the system for long enough. And I know you don't want to throw him out there and just, you know, when he's not ready, but it feels like he's ready. And he did throw a live practice session the other day. I forgot what day it was, but I think he didn't allow a single hit and he only allowed 1 walk. He did really well. So I'm really hoping that they do put him in that 6-man rotation, and I think he's going to be a superstar.
Right now, he's the 6th overall prospect. Obviously, super young. Fastball, slider are his main 2 pitches, and then he also has a really good changeup and an above-average curveball. His first 3 pitches are all 60 graded. The curveball is 55. But I mean, why shouldn't we believe that he's going to be a superstar? Also, why shouldn't we believe that he's not going to get called up this year? I mean, we've seen that the Padres are totally willing to do that with these star guys. And they play, what was it? They had 1 off. It was 7 games, 1 off day, 17 games.
Yeah.
17
to start
straight.
the year. You got to roll with the 6-man rotation. We were talking about this earlier, but what was Chase? It was 130 innings was the number, right? For Musgrove and Lamet.
Yeah.
They've only thrown that once.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I mean, you don't want these guys taking on a bunch of innings right at the beginning of the year, especially when like they're trying to build this team for the postseason. Like winning in May or April, like that doesn't matter as much. I mean, you do want to see them win, but forcing like your arms into a situation where they could break down, like that's worst case scenario for this team. Like that is not what we want to see. We want to see these arms healthy in the postseason, which is something that even in a reduced season last year, you saw Lamet go down and you also saw Clev go down. And that's just something that's the last thing you want to see. So I think Mackenzie Gore has a really good shot to become the 6th man. I know that Morahone didn't have the best start, not necessarily a bad start, but we were talking about him potentially being a bullpen piece and even being kind of in that Josh Hader role where it's, all right, dude, go throw 2-3 innings. But Chase, do you want to kind of get into that a little bit?
Yeah, so I think Motorhome's destined to be a bullpen piece. He just every time he seemed to start in the minor leagues, every time I'd keep up on him, he'd have like a shoulder injury around like 60 to 90 innings in. So to try to prevent that, I think he should just try to be our hater, man. Be that high end reliever that everybody wants in their bullpen. And if not, I do think the Padres should employ a 6-man rotation. But what I think they should do is I was talking to you something like a week is that they should bring up each guy for about like 5 to 10 starts. It is a 162 game season. 5 to 10 starts would get each guy plenty of major league experience against different caliber teams. And it's just good experience to see how well they can either make that jump to the MLB this year, or do they still need a little bit more seasoning in the minor leagues? Because if they can get that if they are perfectly ready for the MLB, keep them up, and then maybe let some guys walk in free agency.
So who would be those guys that you bring up? Mackenzie Gore, Ryan Weathers. Who else?
Morejon. You can probably bring in Lawson for a little bit. If not Lawson, Pedro Avila. He showed that he can be ready. He pitched last year against the Diamondbacks, and I think he threw 5 shutout innings with like 7 strikeouts, so he could be a possible candidate. And then maybe Osvaldo Hernandez. He's a left-handed pitcher. He's projected to be ready this year. He's got a Schmidt, and I'm kind of excited to see what he can do in the future.
No Jacob Nix on that list?
We'll see how he is spring.
Yeah, no, definitely. Isaac, any other things you wanted to bring up? That's all I had, really. I mean, there's so much stuff we could talk about in spring training, but those were like the things I really would focus. But anything else that you wanted to bring up?
No, I mean, obviously, we would talk about Yu Darvish, we would talk about Blake Snell, we would talk about the new guys we just got, but we bring up these guys mainly because we know what to expect out of those guys. We know that those guys are going to be great players. They're going to provide a lot to this organization, but we're looking forward to what these new guys bring to our organization in terms of Haseon Kim, CJ Abrams, those guys that Chase brought up. But this team is set up really, really nicely. Even if, like I said, even if Haseon Kim isn't what we expect, we still got Cronenworth and Abrams waiting. They're studs too. We got studs all over the roster, and that's really good to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Chase, anything else you wanted to add?
No, that pretty much covers it.
All right, awesome. Well, everyone listening on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button if you like their content. Also, we're going to be bringing a lot of Padres content. I'm hoping that we can get about 4 videos, like around 10 to 15, 10 to 20 minutes a week. That'd be awesome. Maybe 3, but a good amount throughout the week. So expect that. And if you're listening on podcast, check out the YouTube channel or just press subscribe or listen however you do. But we like everyone listening. We've seen a lot of uptake in viewership lately, so it's been super cool. And of course, it makes sense because we're baseball season's right around the corner. But thanks everyone for listening, and we will talk to you guys soon.